And what is up? It is White Trash Donnie. Welcome to the Sloppy Syndicate. As you can tell, I am back home in Orlando in the warm weather. We were up in Virginia, and the last day in Virginia, we had snow. Yeah, I am glad to be back in the Sunshine State where it is warm and kind of overcast today, but I'll take it. So, what's up, Nick H? Thanks for joining us. We have Forever Came Calling today. If you know who they are, you should be ecstatic. Let's go. Give them, round of applause. If you don't know who they are, well, you're missing out. What have you been doing with your life? All right. So we are celebrating 10 years of Contender. Yes, I said 10 years. So without further ado, we were talking about some rat tails backstage with Joe. So let's bring them on and get started. What's up, everybody? So this is Forever Came Calling.
How's it going?
Howdy, howdy.
How are we doing? So, yeah, we were talking about Joe's luscious locks and, if he was going to do, what was the braid there, Cody?
He had a sort of Padawan braid from the prequel Star Wars trilogy. The little single thread braid. He had that for a year or so.
Yeah, that was right. That was when we followed Warp Tour the first time. I was like rocking that. Most people just thought I'd look like a clown, and I'd have to explain it to people.
Mhm.
Like they would get it, but they'd slowly be like,
Yeah. The funny thing is like this was not near any sort of like Star Wars release. This would have been 5-6 years after like the last Star Wars release. So it wasn't topical. It was
deep cut. It was a deep cut.
Yeah.
It took a moment to realize what was going on.
That's kind of what made it cool. It was definitely like a decision, right? Like there's a lot of people who are like, quirky or like weird, but that quirkiness is like pretty easy to fall into. It's like, oh, my hair is like a little messy and I don't shave a ton. But like that's not that bizarre. But you picking a like fictional hairstyle or a real hairstyle, but like from a fictional movie that came out like 5 years before, it's certainly like weirder than like, oh, I play in a band, I'm a little scruffy. It's dope though.
I'm going Robin Williams and What Dreams May Come. That's the next. I'm just gonna cut a dad haircut and that's it.
So if you do cut it, you got to do a rat tail or B, a skullet.
A skullet.
So that's where so I have a mullet.
Okay.
So a skullet is where you shave the top, kind of like here, like a reverse bow cut, and then it's like the Krusty the Clown haircut kind of thing.
Damn,
okay. That's the skullet. So
skullet, just go the skullet.
Right.
Honestly, that seems like that's the direction this has to end. Right? It's just only hair here. Like
your family's got like I think good thick hair into their old age. Your gramps used to live down the street, I think, and I don't remember. I think you solid head of hair, so you're in good shape, man.
We'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm starting to thin up top a little bit, but same thing. My grandpa had a full head of hair up until his 80s. It was gray as hell, as you can tell. It's genetics, but I started going gray at 16. So, yeah, welcome to my life. Everyone thinks I'm 30 years older than I really am, but
sometimes you go gray. I'm starting to go. Got a couple of shiners here. I think I'm gonna go white on the sides, which I'm excited about. Which is weird to say because. I thought I'd want to be young forever. Now I'm kind of like, I don't know, salt and pepper's cool. Like,
right. That's the new style now. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, we got some huge events coming up for you guys. So, like I said, we're celebrating 10 years of Contender. Front Porch Sunrise, obviously my favorite song. If you couldn't tell by my IG, that's the only song that I put on there. But yeah, 10 years. How does that feel? 10 years of Contender. And you got started, with the Warp Tour era and things like that. So now we don't have Warp Tour, which sucks. But, so kind of run us through that. 10 years.
It's been crazy. I think like when we started getting close to that 10-year mark, things, it was like, oh, like this will be a new era. If, I think that for a little while, the band really kind of stood in a weird, ambiguous area of whether or not there'd be more stuff going on moving forward. But I think once those conversations naturally got to like a healthy place, you start staring at a decade and you're like, what happened? Like, I'm not the same person I was when I was 25. But I think what I really appreciate about Contender is it seems like I definitely wrote that record at 23 and like had never seen any or done really anything. And it's cool to like listen back to that and see, like understand where I was when I was writing that, how angry and like just, like desperate I was for anybody to care at all. And it's really cool to see that like 10 years later that spoke to people. I think like that was surprising to me because when you write a record, I never thought in 10 years I'm going to need to like bring this back up or this would be a conversation piece at all. I just thought it would be in a line of things that, just happened. So I think the community that like has been built around that record has been really cool because I think that record's for a lot of like, like the downtrodden, like underdog kind of stuff. I think that the idea of Contender itself was always like, I'm not saying like just he could have been a contender. That whole idea, was that a puppy or a cat, Cody?
It was my dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Biscuit just came in from Milwaukee. Saw my mother-in-law briefly as well. But yeah, Biscuit roaming around probably won't be the last time you see her. But yeah,
hell yeah. But I think the Jameson will probably come say hi at some point. ADHD. Anyway, back on topic.
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the community that was built around it, I think the more that people talk to, like the people will reach out. I think that's something that I've always been shocked about is pointedly that record, people reaching out. A lot of people have that. Like, I think if there's a band tattoo, I think oddly it became that album art. We've seen that quite a few times, which is really cool because I love the album art. I love the colors. I love all that. So I'm just appreciative that we're able to do this at all, like, to be honest.
Yeah, and that album was hugely successful, as well as the follow-up album in 2014, What Matters Most. So two banging albums, two huge success on both albums. And then you had some singles in 2018, 2019, pre-pandemic. So obviously, pandemic kind of shut everything down. You toured about 3 years ago, so you have the tour coming up. So I'll pull that up if I can figure out how to do this on my banner. All right, so here we have the 10 Years of Contender tour, starting in September and going through October. And even cooler than that, in May, they're going to be playing on Sunday with Black Bear, the Maine State Champs, Mod Sun Set It Off at the So What Festival in Texas. That's huge. So walk us through the process. It's been a couple of years since you've toured. Getting the jitters out. What's it like getting ready to play in front of hundreds of thousands of people at the So What Festival and then going on your own tour shortly after? So
I think it's been cool. So the band, we did put out 2 records and an EP, and we were road dogs for a long time. So when I stepped away from touring full time, my mom had an accident, so home life was just much more important, to be completely honest. So I think when that happened, I had made the decision that like the band would become not auxiliary, but it just wasn't the focus anymore. So I think when, we started talking about 10 years of Contender, if that would be a thing. So What Music, Mike Zemer has always been a huge ally and advocate for the band. And so when So What got brought up, it was just like, okay, we thought this thing was over, and now the first show back is going to be this really insanely awesome festival. To be honest, I want to throw up thinking about it because it's just like, I've been I'm from a small town, so I'm very much like small town Joe right now. So like to think about something like that is so exciting, but also like I'm afraid I'm gonna trip on stage. Like I'm having like straight up like flashbacks to my first shows of being like, all right, what do I wear? But I'm really excited. Like State Champs, we did a few tours with them. I've stayed in contact with some of those guys, and I'm excited to get back to see them and watch them do their thing. I think that's an incredible band that has been hugely successful, and they're putting out a new record, which is really dope. Black Bear, to be honest, I fucking love. I think that dude is so talented. I'm probably gonna get hated on for that, but I like what I like. I also like 2 Chainz is going on. Like, so
this Chainz is, the headliner for our night, rubbing elbows with Tyga backstage. The world is our oyster.
Yeah.
It is kind of nuts though. I'm in the same boat where I've like been a homebody, like I think I see a friend like once every couple months for 45 minutes, and then I do that again in 3 or 4 months. Uh, so to just sort of like be thrown in the deep end of the pool with a huge festival first show back. We were talking backstage, like we're all busy, we're all adults now, living in different places, so like practice and rehearsals is sort of like everyone's putting in the legwork individually, but the band will sort of like practice and rehearse for the first time, and we're going to be like in the 30-day mark. So it's wild. It's wild. But it's exciting, It's exciting unless it goes terribly, and then it's just not that good. But
if it goes terribly wrong, we just don't talk about it ever.
Right. Forget about that show.
We
didn't play that.
They start disappearing. Yeah.
And I think Contender. So Cody was in like the first incarnation of that's the right word of the band. And so I want to dig into like our MySpace era pictures of that.
Dude.
Cody went to college, has a very successful career, beautiful family, and this is going to be Cody's first outing back with us in what?
13 years.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Like
you guys cut Hope Passion probably 6 months after I dipped. The band was doing like really, really well. I was like a senior in high school. Joe was a couple years older. Regionally doing like pretty well. Joe was keeping me out to like 4 a.m. on school nights and stuff, like 3 nights out of the week. My parents were just like cooked off the face of the earth.
Like what is going on?
Yes, they were. I mean, like they sort of like allowed it. Yeah, they allowed it to occur because they knew that it was like something kind of special and unique and unexpected. But like they were aware that it was super weird that a 17-year-old kid would disappear for 18 hours at a time and like go to school and then disappear again. And so yeah, I didn't play on Contender or what matters most, like, but I love those albums. Always really proud of the band, but to see, I think with those two albums, one of the coolest things that can happen is like when you realize that the threshold for like, oh, my friend is like pretty good at something, right? But like he's a friend, so they get the benefit of the doubt, and you just become aware that like your friends are like objectively world-class good at something is like a surreal and powerful experience. So those albums mean a lot to me. Like Spotify tells me once a year that they're like, even prior to this run back, like, my most listened to music. So have the opportunity to play through like music with my friends, that like means a lot to me. Huge privilege, big responsibility. The sort of like, seeing the fan engagement around like the tour news and so what, and like seeing these people that you've never met or talked to, share this love of this music, like, just sort of like passively through their lives. It's just something that they like carry with them. Their life goes on. They're living their lives. They're, having these experiences and changing. And then, there are these like little 3.5-minute songs that like for a decade, they just sort of like carry around with them. And it's like a surreal and moving thing to be part of. It's nuts.
And also to like I said, like when I came home from the last tour, I was pretty much done with it. And Cody is someone who's throughout the entire career of the band, even at like in the band after he left, he was always someone that was super supportive. And I shared this with him, but I haven't really told anybody else this. A lot of the reason that like I stepped back into like being open to like doing this whole thing and like getting excited about it was that Cody would just like randomly text me things like, hey dude, like not some bullshit friend thing. Like this really mattered to me. Like, I think you did something special here, and not like driving at anything, just very much being like, I think, I don't want to speak for Cody, but honest about how he felt about a piece of music. And I think that really inspired me to like reassess where I was at with it all. My mom passed last year, so that made a lot of conversations not easier, but it was like, okay, like I don't have to be home the way that I had to be home before. And so I think like Cody, when it came to like figuring out who's going to play second guitar, Cody was just like, it was a no brainer. It's like, this is someone that like, I was nervous because he is a family man. And I was like, dude, I don't want to like stress you out, but like we could do this really cool softball league and it's just a band. Like we just like kick ass and do this thing together. And Cody was, since that moment, has been like a huge facilitator and like initiator and like really treating, I think, this era with respect and like making in the best way possible. I think making sure that like I understand what we're doing, because I think that like it's very easy when you create something to like disconnect from it and almost treat it like I have a lot of problems with like self-love. I've come a long way with it, but anything that I do, I automatically think is a little bit subpar. And Cody's just been a big support system that like reminds me that like be kind to you, so it's really cool. I'm very appreciative of him.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So,
the timing.
Go ahead.
The timing is kind of nuts. Like I had my family had some health issues like in the last 8 months, and if the timing wasn't sort of like this exactly right now, right? Like if So What happened 3 weeks, 4 weeks sooner, it actually would have been like an impossibility, which would have meant the subsequent things probably wouldn't have made sense, because it like doing a shuffle and then shuffling me in afterwards wouldn't have made any sense. And yeah, it's like it's really dope. Just at this period in my life where, yeah, it's like a fantasy LARP vacation for me, but at the same time, like there's a ton of this is music that means something to people, and it's also music that I like wasn't a direct participant in the creation of. So I feel like I have like I'm a little bit of a like a shepherd. It's my responsibility to like sort of like take care of this thing that like other people worked really hard on and means a lot to people. And also like it gives me an excuse to nerd out in gear, and we're doing a bunch of like live sound stuff that's really cool. Joe has a ton of big ideas about like visuals. I think the sort of like nice thing about Contender, about the legwork, that sort of like initial and most important creative work being done, is that you get to revisit it now with like different resources. Contender, on the heels of Contender, like Joe and the crew are just like on the road and like just killing it, but they like just needed to be 100% focused on like being on the road and supporting that album and then writing the next album and then doing it again. And then so you have this like pre-existing work where you can just be sort of like iterative in the ways that like you've kind of always wanted to be. So it's just like it's very dope. And the timing just feels like great. Just feels great.
So it's like the stars aligned and it's like reunion time.
Straight up.
So you're playing the So What Fest, and and then you mentioned MySpace, and we're all making ourselves older.
Showing our age.
Talking about MySpace, but I remember you could put like your top favorite. What was it? Favorite 5 bands or 5 artists or whatever.
Top 8.
Yeah, and man, I wish we still had MySpace. It was such a good idea. It was a little bit cooler than Facebook, but if they could intertwine like Facebook with some MySpace, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But and that was back in the days of Warp Tour. You guys played Warp Tour, things like that. And so I mean, it's crazy to think, the huge success that you have had and you're going to have in the future, that you're going to be at the So What Fest, like you said, rubbing arms with Tyga and all these huge bands. And this is, various stages, various, genres. So, I mean, you guys are just going to be thrown in the limelight and you're going to rock it out. I have faith in you.
I think we're going to do great, honestly. And I think that it's just going to be a cool weekend to reconnect with our youth, or my youth. Like I'm 35, I guess I'm not totally old yet, but I'm there. I also think like I'm excited for the tour because Cody, the last time he toured with us, we were playing to 2 people, if that, and 2 of them, we brought both of them, like they, so this tour I think is going to be really cool. The rooms that we selected were small. because I think we like FCC, especially Contender, like that's a punk record to me, and like I want to do like, I want to get back into that. Lifetime was like one of my all-time favorite bands. Saves the Day up until that Weirdo stuff was one of my favorite bands. And like, those shows, like I remember seeing Lifetime in 2007 at Chain, and that was just such a great moment in my life. And I would love, like, so that being said, this Contender tour, I want to try to recreate some of those some of those glory days moments.
Absolutely. So with emo pop punk, obviously it's coming back. It's becoming a super popular genre again. Not that it wasn't ever, it kind of went away, but like with MGK and certain bands bringing it to the forefront. Can we expect anything from FCC in the future, or are we just kind of doing a reunion tour and see how that goes?
I think honestly, we want to do one more record. I think that's and then that doesn't mean it's one more record and we break up. I think that this has got us to one more record, and then we get to that record and we reassess where we're all at. And I think that the conversations Cody and I have had, I think that FCC got really blessed to fall in this weird space of being successful, but never really making, like, it never became the main monetary like value in any of our lives. It was like something that got to a place to where it would help make life easier, but we weren't in it for money. Right. That being said, we were never afforded the weird opportunity where we had to create money. So all the records we've done have always, I think, come from some place of honesty. Retro Future, if I'm being completely honest, is not my favorite release of the band's. And I don't want that to be the bookend of FCC. So with the new record, I definitely have something like to prove to myself, which feels good because I think that all of the best moments I've ever written in songs were when I just wrote them because I thought it was cool. And I'm excited to take that mindset into a record beforehand and not feel pressure from anyone but myself to be the best that we can be.
Absolutely.
I think that there's a big opportunity now too with like the way sort of people engage with music and like online communities. Being a band is a little bit more abstract than maybe it was certainly when Contender was released. But we all live in like different cities, but it doesn't feel like you need to be in the same rehearsal space anymore to like qualify as a band or like be creative or contributing to making something. And I think getting to sort of participate in that is going to be a lot of fun and different and challenging. Joe whipped up some like secret heat that he shared or that he had in the sort of like the chamber right before he asked me to play this for his shows. And like, I was like, damn, man, this guy still got it. Right. Like, and I think like getting some people to sort of like, make a tweak here or turn a wrench there on like some of these ideas. It would be a shame if like that wasn't shared more widely.
And I'd agree. And obviously computers and things have made life so much easier for us. And, back then we had MySpace. We really didn't have Spotify and, things like that. So, who knows?
This will be the first time Contender hits Spotify. Like, we're going to re-release Contender. I just said that.
X is like,
yeah, X just lost it. He just said, why do I even do this? But yeah, anyway, I'm just going to continue the thought. This will be the first time either of our LPs hit Spotify as new releases. I mean,
okay.
What Matters Most was like kind of our Spotify record, but Spotify was in beta testing that entire year. And I think that's 2014. And when What Matters Most came out, and it got added to Spotify in the summer of 2015. So, I'm interested to see what those records do as new releases, because they haven't really they still stream very strongly, and they've never really been a platform release. So I'm excited to see see what happens there. I'm also excited to put out a record. You know, this Spotify world is so exciting and new that I'm excited to like learn about it and kind of figure out where FCC exists in that space. And I think that's where Cody is really great, to be honest. Cody's 100% been a huge asset as far as like understanding the online space completely.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. Nerd.
Right. I'm not too tech savvy. I know the basics, but yeah, I mean, even Spotify now with, without the, the whole hoorah or releases or anything like that, there's songs that you have over 1 million listens, a million plays on, so even without, the promotional or anything like that, I mean, you guys have been a huge success just on Spotify alone with some of those songs over 1 million plays. And, yeah, Justin, we're streaming live on Twitch and YouTube. If I didn't tell you, I think I did. But
I'll post that I'm gonna post that right now.
LimeWire was the shit. I forget LimeWire. It rings a bell. But
Cody, what's your joke about LimeWire? Just
did you ever download Blink182.exe and like brick the family computer? That's like a shared experience by like sort of a 2 or 3 year like very specific group of millennials. Like you either caught that wave or you didn't, but yeah, Wild West,
bricking the family computer straight up.
Compact just like instantly in the trash. Your dad is so fucking mad. He's got a bunch of reports on there.
You straight up unplug it and steal the power cord for 2 weeks in hopes that no one finds out.
Yep, dude. I used to. We had a CD burner, which put us in this sort of like elite social strata in junior high, right? Because like the world was at your fingertips, and I would like sneak down at like 2 a.m. and then download like whatever heaters, so and so wanted burnt to a CD, like 5 or 6 at a time. Burn the CD, have to uninstall LimeWire, like delete the files, and then like scoot away. And I got caught like 3 or 4 times, man. And then now people just like go and click Spotify and have the entire archive of music released from like 1900 onward. Just different lives, man. Different lives.
Yeah, and you take them to school and sling them for like $3. Like, hey, I got this CD. Make, some candy money. But yeah, the crazy old days. But I remember riding the school bus with a Walkman, and this is when the Sony Walkman, the little round disc player that was supposed to be anti-skip. That thing used to skip more than anything. So
that's a farce. That's the biggest grip of all time, man. Anti-skip. You knew it was skipping.
Right. Anti-skip technology was fake. That wasn't even real.
If the CD player didn't acknowledge like any skipping technology, you sort of knew that it was more reliable than the ones that were like, yo, I don't skip. Not a skipper. Yeah, man. CDs were CDs were nuts.
And we lived the back roads out in the dirt roads, so every there were so many bumps and potholes that it'd be like boom, boom. Like you couldn't even listen to a CD. But yeah, man, the good old days. That takes me back. So I see, Joe, you collect. You got some collectibles back there. What do you collect?
Oh, dude, that's like my straight up the hobby. It's unhealthy. I collect right now Marvel Legends, X-Men, NECA Ninja Turtles. They did like a cool cartoon line, which is that one's. This is like what I'm very into right now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which is NECA did a cool like re-up. I'm just very into like nostalgia stuff. So yeah, I do a lot of NECA, which is a big one. Super 7, which is behind me here. And then anything that has a cool old school looking card, I am super into.
Yeah, I lucked out as you see here. I was antique shopping and I found a 1961 Grundig. So I was pretty excited. I got that, and I'm big into vinyls, cassettes, kind of the old school nostalgia, NES games.
Okay.
Yeah, so some old school stuff, kind of like you. Cody, did you collect anything or?
I'm a big like gear fiend in the music world. I'm not a huge collector of things, but I'm like pretty nerdy gamer. I work at Twitch. So I've been doing gaming stuff like as a career most of my life. So like pretty nerdy. Never been into like physical collectibles so much, but like definitely been like a fiend in online games for like rare things. And yeah, so the big money sink for the last like 2 years has been just getting asinine gear that I have for the most part almost no need for, but getting it anyway, which is really dope when your old friend calls you up and says, "Hey, do you want to play a bunch of shows with my band?" So I guess it all worked out, but yeah, like my big vice is like pedals. There's a bunch of modelers over there. That's like 3 guitars. Um, it's bad. It's really bad. My wife is not over the moon with my spending habits as pertains to music. But
Cody
we
hit
all have,
a group chat with like things I don't even completely understand, but Austin, who's also playing with us, is equally a gear nerd. So
dude.
they will have huge conversations that I'm like,
What are you talking about?
I'll just like it because I don't even know what, like, I don't even know how to interject myself in that conversation. Because I'm like, yeah,
When Austin and I started like chopping it up, I had faith. I was like, yo, if a friend of Joe's, I trust his judgment and taste in people, like, it'll be fine. Like, wasn't concerned that I wasn't going to like click anyone, but then the gear snobbery and sort of like weird, no one really needs to know this level of detail about these products that Austin has that like met my energy. Oh man, I was smitten.
you guys are gonna get along so well.
Romance. He's a girl dad too. His little girl's like a couple years older. It's like, yeah, we haven't met in person. We've just been chatting via this group text, but
The bromance has started.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so what about your tech savvy and things like that? What about NFTs? Do you collect any NFTs, or are you big into the NFT world?
No, so I've dodged crypto. I did like some speculative crypto trading like a couple years ago, just like in and out. I'm not a but it was like largely just like a, hey, making some money would be cool, less so like uh I'm sort of like buying into the techer vision. I have I have a couple of really good friends whose like life is now solely like, crypto. Um so no, dodged NFTs, have done like some sort of like passive trading of like, blue chip cryptocurrencies when it's like kind of a wave and I think I can make a little money. But no. And I always kind of like kick myself in the ass about that because I was a nerd, I knew about like Bitcoin like in 2013 or something. And I was like, I don't know, like, this is kind of weird. It's like $10 right now. And the sort of, who knows? And that would have been like made for life money if I dropped like $50 on it.
Right.
Yeah.
It dropped like $50 on it.
Dude,
Yeah, it's
I have
got
a
like
crazy
40,000 right now. So.
crazy crypto story though. On like a friend's podcast, like the moons and moons ago, like I had a buddy that I went to college with. He ran this thing called like Dogecoin Tipbot, which was like in 2000, I don't know, the first like couple years of Dogecoin anyway, like the biggest sort of like wallet for Dogecoin. And that was when it was worth like pennies, pre like Elon Musk, like truly just pumping that like out of his mind. And I did like some backwards math on it. He ended up like, he wasn't solvent. He was like sort of like, kind of trading people's money around and just hoping there wouldn't be like a mass withdrawal situation at any given time. Anyway, so he ends up like sort of like going under, almost gets sued, but like it's tens of thousands of dollars worth of money at the time. And like he would have been legitimately like clear north of $500,000, or north of $500 million. Like if the sort of like money when like it all went away, like he had kept, and sort of like the value increased the exact same, right? So there's like a lot of what ifs, okay, what if you vault the cash that he had to liquidate to clear off debts, etc. But like he legitimately would have been like 500 million plus. Like the internet is nuts. Like the world is nuts.
Right. Yeah. I dabbled in it a little bit, but I'm just like, I don't know enough about it to really put, too much into it. But I know, Bitcoin is like 40,000 now. So if you, if you bought it when it was $2,
Yeah.
I mean, you're making a pretty penny, but,
there's just like a couple of esports memes. So like in 2010 or 11, there was like this little small baby StarCraft tournament where like 4th through 8th place got like 25 Bitcoin when it was worth like, $1. And then first place was like $400, right? And those folks now that would have been a few $100,000. And then there's like a meme where it's like a tweet the screenshotted from like 2011 or 12 where someone's like, Bitcoin is back at 50 cents. Glad I didn't buy in on that mess. Like that's actually one of my close friends. And that's like a super widely shared meme in the crypto world. Cause obviously it's 1000th Xth that now. So it's tough, man. It's tough. Sometimes not knowing is better. Like just not knowing how close you were to
right.
like accidentally being wildly wealthy if you sort of like flippantly made another decision. Like, yeah, you throw $2 on some of this stuff on like a lark in 2012 or 13 and check in years later and you're just golden, man.
Right. You're like, oh, I got a couple mil. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So awesome. Yeah, and there was this. I'm trying to think of what it was. It was it's an NFT that just sold for like 2.1 million, and then it was worth 0 or something. I don't know, some crazy story. And
The
then
the NFT stuff is so interesting to me. Because I think there's this young kid Prentice who's insanely talented that I like a lot, and he just did a digital release party, like for lack of what I can't remember exactly what it was called. And I went to it, and all I could think about is, I'm a big Fortnite guy, which is not cool. People don't like. I love the game, but what Fortnite makes me think of, and I promise this will all make sense, is it's that idea of skins. Like, what's an NFT but a skin? Like, in some ways, you're paying for this digital thing to be like who you want to be. And I think that playing Fortnite made me realize that we will eventually move into an online space in which like people might just hang out there, and like it would be pretty I think some Black Mirror-esque shit could happen very, very rapidly. Going to the digital release party made me realize that, because I went into it as a hater. Like, I'm supporting this artist because I'm supporting him, but this is gonna be whack. I left there being like, that was pretty fucking fun. You know what I mean? Like it, and so NFTs, I know that they get a lot of hate, but I think it's exciting because, um, you know, there's always like new frontiers can always be exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of error and there's going to be a lot of pitfalls, but it's always exciting when there's a new player on the field.
We had one of our senior music people who's like pretty widely respected in music across the board. She was like one of the original curators at Spotify before like coming to Twitch, and she left to do like Web 3.0 and sort of like crypto and music adjacent stuff. And I have she doesn't miss, right? So I agree with Joe. I think it's tough to sort of like break through the noise because there's so many like grifts and like clowns who tend to be louder than the smart people. But I've like seen enough people that I like genuinely believe are intelligent people, sort of like placing measured, but consequential bets about like their livelihood or the trajectory of their lives in this space. So it's like, I have no reason to doubt that they're wrong. It's just like, I think yes, it's so much legwork, just like getting through like the hustlers and the pump and dumps and like the forgeries and the thievery. But like, I think like the folks that do figure it out are like gonna certainly reap the benefit of figuring it out before anyone else does, and sort of like, oh wow, they figured it out way. And then like hopefully that's a meaningful change for musicians and artists, right? Like, got to be more to all this than like, hey, I'm gonna trade a company, 1/3 of my life, so I can continue to eat. There's got to be like, a way you can sort of like reorganize how this all works. Because if you think about like the way you sort of like participate in like what's normal and how money is normally made in these communities, that's actually kind of weird. That's like kind of bizarre. It's like, okay, I'm gonna trade my creativity for a loan, and I will have enough side hustles that I will be able to pay that loan back, while my creativity is like yours pretty much for forever. I don't know, man. So like trading JPEGs for some cash is like actually not that silly when you think about it compared in that way. Like, it's not any
how do
weirder.
you? Yeah, like art is, art is, especially music pointedly right now. There's not a lot of ways to make, to be just a musician there's a lot of things have to move in your favor. Merch, touring at one time.
Whoa.
What is
My
up,
bad.
Noah?
I didn't know I was gonna get added like that.
Boom. You're in. What's up?
I didn't mean to interrupt. I was trying to watch.
This is Noah. He's drumming with us. He's bro, the stash looks great.
I'm like the
thank
only
you, Vinny.
stashless guy in
A little
Cody,
trim
man.
today.
Looks good.
It's time to
I'm
stash it
growing
up.
out.
Yeah,
you
get a
scratched
curl in, and yeah,
Oh,
Cody.
it's awesome,
Everyone's got to have a
dude.
mustache.
I know. I could do it. I just shaved, and I actually was joking with the wife. I was like, "Yo, maybe I should just have a mustache for just to feel something." But it's apparently, it's in the air.
Just to feel something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the yeah, I think the world. I don't want to say the world, but like you were saying, work to, you're working, you're giving away, so much of your life. I think the general consensus is everyone is trying to move away from that and create their own kind of lifestyle where they can live and do what they want. So like schoolies, van life, all that is kind of making a huge, not a comeback because it never really was a thing. I mean, maybe when you're in the hippie era, but people are living in vans and just traveling and there's so many ways to make money now, photography or, just things like that. So when I was up at the farm in Virginia, I went to Damascus Brewery, which is right off the Appalachian Trail. And, a lot of hikers come in, have a beer and, kind of warm up, use the bathroom, whatever. And, I was talking with them and they're like, yeah, we hike and van life for 6 months out of the year. And then we pick up like a temporary job, as a waiter or waitress, making, for 6 months out of the year. And then we travel for 6 months out of the year. And like, I mean, that's a pretty dope idea. Like just, working and traveling. And they're like, their whole life's in a backpack and they're like, I'm so much more content with this than what I had before. So I don't know if I could go down just to a backpack, but it was kind of cool to see their perspective, hiking, they were hiking 2 months already and they had 4 more months to go, to finish the trail. So, yeah, it's definitely unique to see how the world is evolving now and kind of, I don't want to say shunning the, what we've grown up with or what we are, kind of told or taught. But it's kind of going in a different direction, which is, it's cool to see, in the NFTs and, all that kind of ties in together. So yeah, Noni, welcome in. You are the drummer. So we were just finishing up, talking about some NFTs and stuff like that. So you're the drummer. Tell us a little bit about you and that gorgeous stash and those luscious curls.
I just saw the link and I was like, oh, let me see what they're talking about. I don't know what's happening.
I think I probably tweeted the wrong link. I'm pretty sure.
Dang, did you tweet the
keep it
like
going.
X joined? Hell yeah, man. Dude, X is gonna like
shit.
X hates me. X is
you're
like,
100% getting grounded, man. You
Yeah,
tweet the join show link from Twitter. Leak some record
I messed up, so I'll put Noah on the spot. So I'll catch you up. Noah, he did the Retro Future tour with us. He's been drumming since you were how old, Noah?
14.
And
14.
He just is someone who came into the fold and he came to the fold and has 100% been one of the best musicians I've ever played with. On top of that, he's also a great dude. We bonded heavily over toys, to be honest. And then the funniest joke that I think I've ever heard in my life is, no, I hope you don't hate me for sharing this, but when you called your mom and asked her where pee comes from, pee comes from the balls. To this day, he set his mom up. And I still think about that parking lot and that memory, and I like die. That was like one of the funniest things. But yeah, Noah is from
damn it.
what's the the small town? Now I can't.
I'm from Arizona. I'm just from Arizona.
Arizona. So it's been really cool. Yeah, Noah's just been a great just a great person to everyone that I've seen him introduced to, and also he's an incredible drummer. But yeah, this is he's really excited to have him.
So we got to set Joe straight. This is from Luke. Fucking Joe needs to step things up. I just found out about this. I'll whoop his ass if I have to. So there's a little bit of hate out there, Joe.
Yes.
You know, just letting you know. But yeah, so and has Noni played with the band previously, or is he? You know, how did that come about?
So we had a friend in common, and we were looking for a drummer, and that made the link. And what we just started texting, right? And then you came up to 29 for one session, and then we're like, okay, this is like there's something here. And then you came back up like after kind of spending some time with the songs, and then I think the first one we all felt like I felt like I sucked that day. John was like, yo, I'm not like, you know, like everybody was just kind of like, there's something here, but like we're not there yet. And then Noah went home for like 2 weeks and came back and just crushed everything. And so it was like, yeah, this guy's fucking real.
Dude, I was so nervous too that first like day we got together, because I was like 18, like driving by myself to California, and I was like, oh shit, like I don't fucking know these people. I was like, what if they murder me and
Right.
like take me out around the desert, this small town, like
yeah,
I'm like, yo,
true.
it's this band. I'm going with this band, so like, you know, I'm missing. It's forever
sharing your location.
Right.
Like, hey mom.
This is before Joshua Tree was cool, so it was like, I'm going to the middle of the desert to maybe die, Mom. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We'll take our chances. We'll figure it out, you know, when we get there.
Like, it's
But
worth it. Yeah, we'll see what's up.
But it was, yeah, it was, and then and then we figured out we're exactly 10 years apart, right? Something like, didn't we figure that out?
I don't know. How old are you?
No, I'm old. I'm 35 now. You're no, you're only 23.
Oh yeah, I'll be 25 this year.
Okay, yeah. So what was cool?
They don't make us feel old, all right?
Back to the
y'all are old. That's not my problem.
Get the hell out of here. The funny thing that Noah highlighted to me was Power Rangers, right? I would go around collecting Power Rangers, and I'm a Mighty Morphin guy. That's the only Power Rangers for me. And Noah is the first person in my life to be like, what are you talking about? It's Power Rangers in space, dog. And I was like, what? And then I realized, like, oh God, Power Ranger, like, depending on when you're born, like, you have your Rangers. And
dude, I'm in the same boat. In a couple years ago, for whatever reason, I just thought the show ended, right? Like, you know, it's a very sort of like American, like my worldview, like, you know, if it's not here to please me, surely it's not occurring anymore. Yeah, I thought like there was like Power Rangers, the first movie, like, you know, a season or two after Green Ranger becomes White Ranger, and then like they call it quits. But no, there's like legit another decade and a half of like this show occurring.
It's still going, I think.
It's just bonkers, man. Absolutely.
Dude,
bonkers.
the stuff that was coming out though when I was young, it was not good. Like In Space was reruns for me, and it was sick. But then like I'd watch the stuff that was coming out weekly, and I was like, I don't know, man. It's not
I'm a big Simpsons fan. I grew up, obviously we all know the Simpsons, but I'd watch, you know, on Fox every night I could. But yeah, I wasn't big into the Power Rangers. I mean, I liked it a little bit. I'm still hooked on Scooby-Doo. Like as an adult, I'll sit down and I mean, I'll watch 4 hours of Scooby Doo.
I saw
you know.
a meme on Scooby Doo that says it's something to the effect of it's the best cartoon because it teaches children to realize that the villains in their lives are actually people they just know. And
Right.
it's like, damn, that is heavy. Like,
That's kind of, and that's kind of true sometimes. Yeah. So,
damn, nostalgia. It's for everyone.
So yeah, we're taking it back to our era. Sorry, Noni, but yeah. So how do you feel about the tour playing at the So What Festival? There's going to be a ton of people there, obviously, and get to young buck like you get to rub arms with Tyga and some big wigs. So you excited or nervous?
What?
Noah ends up drumming for Tyga after this show for sure. Something happens
I
there.
hope so. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make that happen. I gotta shake some hands.
Right, just like if you need a drummer, here you go.
Mustache, baby. You just gotta show me that mustache.
Yeah. I should
Let
make
that
a business card, huh? Hand out business card.
Yeah, just like hand out business cards to all the artists. Be like, hey, if you need a drummer, I'm here. Ready to play.
Flyers.
But yeah, you guys definitely should grow your hair out. Cody has fallen behind. Joe and Noni have long hair and mustaches. So Cody, I don't know if you can catch up on the hair, but you can catch up on the mustache. So
hair is going to be tough. I was actually thinking about a haircut, but I'll blow that off. Mustache, certainly doable. Like I said, I thought about doing it just for laughs. I didn't know that this was like a thing.
I'm trying to be the mustache fan.
Yeah, like everyone in the band has a mustache, and then you wear like the throwback, era clothes, shirts. Right? Yeah, like you get the porn stash and the 70s vibe.
You're an indie band.
Yeah. But awesome, yeah.
I haven't seen Joe in a minute. I didn't realize we look like the same almost. It's kind of like...
It looks like we're brothers.
If you were a little bit younger, he might have been your father, but
Dad Joe.
Right.
That's the worst.
But yeah, so 10 years, like I said earlier, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years, but you were 15, obviously, when Contender was out. Did you listen to it or?
Whoa. What's funny, to be honest? I didn't know about the band until I got linked up.
Okay.
I didn't know about them. And then I was like, well, this is sick. And I wasn't even really into pop punk. Like, I was kind of, like, I was like, yeah, Story So Far is sick. Like, bands like that are tight. And then I got, like, we started talking. I was like, this is sick. And now I'm, like, more into it, obviously. But, yeah, I didn't even know about them yet.
Yeah, but I think that made it so natural because there was no pressure. You know what I mean? It was just like, you were just like, yeah, like this song, I'll play this music and enjoy it. Okay. And then
there was no previous experience. It was just like fresh. It was new to him. So,
and that I think we did because we did So What that year, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2016 we played So What.
Yeah, and that was so damn, dude. So me and you have only played So What together. That's pretty sick.
I must be living under a rock because I thought So What I thought this was the first year of So What. Maybe it's because it's exploded.
This year. So I think this is it's been going for, I think, at least a decade now. Okay. Mike's been doing it for a while. This is just the year where they went all out. It was, the headliners are crazy. And it's just an eclectic festival, which is cool. There's literally very few festivals where there's something for everyone. Like I have Coachella in my backyard. It's definitely still a very like indie dominant, like it's moving into other directions now. It's indie and pop, it's not really, I think Title Fight played once, they'll probably get Turnstile next year, I'd assume, because they've moved into that space. But
yeah, and it's a kick-ass way of doing it. I mean, you have all genres, different stages, different things like that. So it brings, you're not, you're not catering to one or two crowds. You're catering to the vast majority. So, I think it's going to be epic and it's going to be hugely successful and probably a ton of people. I know I'm in Orlando, so we have Welcome to Rockville coming up. I know last year they had 160,000 people through the 4 days. And that was with, kind of still pandemic going. And then now this year, I'm who knows? It's going to be wild to see how many people actually show up for it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad music is coming back. I'm glad we can get out and enjoy some stuff. And yeah, it's just refreshing to actually get out there and listen to some live bands and jam out. So, and then obviously you guys get to play and things like that. So there's a big festival. What is it? All the old school bands are playing when we were young.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's going to be pretty epic if they can pull it off. But they're doing it like different weekends now and stuff like that. But would that be something you guys would be interested in? If the opportunity arose,
Call us up. Call us up. Our manager has his boys on one of the weekends, so we have some proximity to it already. And as weird as it sounds, like I think we actually kind of are the benefactors of that festival anyway, because I think that like really put that was like the exclamation mark on this sort of like, this sort of like rekindled interest in like rock and punk music is like a thing, like indisputably. I felt like it was like kind of in the air the last like couple of years, like, folks our age are sort of like creeping into their adulthood and they have like, time to revisit their like interests or things that like made them happy when they were like kids, right? Like that was kind of just in the air. But then this festival like is just this like huge in your face, like, the entire internet rallies around talking about this thing and you're just like, oh, it's not just a hunch. Like, so
people want this.
Right. It's bringing it more mainstream for all, ages.
And our ticket sales have actually been like really good. Tour dates like 5 months out are selling like really, really, really quickly. And like, I think
Philly hit like
a prominent,
right?
Yeah. Like yeah. Like prominent band, but in some ways kind of like, they're like, or weird. I'm not sure what pronouns I'm supposed to use now that I'm participating, but like, this was not like if you were sort of like a passerby enjoyer of like this kind of music, like FCC probably didn't hit your radar. Like, but it was certainly like the threshold for like, oh, I like, this is sort of like the music that I primarily listen to. FCC is like in that sort of like class of band. And for ticket sales to be what they are is just kind of wild. Like,
right. And it's months out, like you said. And I'm a little disappointed you're not coming to Florida or anywhere close that I could get to. But, maybe soon, maybe we can get you down here. But
I miss Florida. Yeah. Back booth in Orlando. That was a great venue.
Yep. I don't know if that's still open or not. I know Will's Pub is huge. The Haven. We still have some pretty decent music venues around here. Trader, it's in Sanford. I forget the name. West End Trading Company. So there's some good venues for sure. But we got Kraken Fest they did this year. We had, what'd I do? Kraken Fest. We had the Used, Amberlin. Who else? Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. So they're, that's kind of one of the local festivals they do. It's kind of on the smaller scale now, but hugely popular. And, welcome to Rockville. So it'd be kick-ass to see you guys on a lineup like, Kraken Fest, because they do, so like last year they did Taking Back Sunday, Evergreen Terrace, Emory, so they kind of, they're the older, like pop punk or old school kind of festival versus the new age music. So yeah, definitely keep rocking out and hopefully we'll see you somewhere. And, maybe I have no power, but I'd be like, hey, let's see Forever, FCC on, Kraken Fest, and
that honestly, that stuff helps a lot. Surprisingly, it's just people being like, hey, I want to see this. So Florida in general, I just want to get back to. I feel like it's not celebrated as much as it. There's a lot of cool adventures in Florida. Like, everything there wants to kill you, but also make you have fun.
Right.
Yeah. They're like Disney World, don't they? Disney World in Florida?
Yep.
Amazing. You guys got the Dolphins? I'm a Dolphins fan. Dan Marino, are you kidding me?
But Dolphins haven't been good since Dan Marino.
Suck.
So
we suck. But I love that.
That's kind of like the Lions. We haven't been good since Barry Sanders. So
it makes you a true fan, though. If you're still with them,
All right, we got Tom
No.
Rift popping in. Do we know who Tom Rift
Oh,
is?
Tom, you got to
Oh,
teach me to
shoot.
solo, dog.
Where's Tommy boy?
Yo, my phone's at 1%. I gotta go, y'all.
All right,
Okay.
All right.
nice catching up
I
with
need
you.
to-
Or nice talking
Tom,
with you.
though.
So
He owes me a video, man. It's extremely fucked up that a pop punk band put a solo in one of their songs and then also
There's
put that on
Tommy.
his set list.
So,
I can't
folks,
believe
we,
I just missed Noah. That's very funny.
Literally
he's
missed
still
no
backstage.
seconds.
He's right there. I don't know if his phone is going to die. He said he had 1%, but
The tech aptitude of like the people playing in this band is so meager and like
So,
Oh,
Well,
there we
I
go.
saw Noah for 3 seconds. That was awesome.
he's still on there. So if he doesn't disappear, I'll bring him back on. But he said he had 1%
He's
left.
fine.
So,
Man has not charged his phone in about 200 years.
Yeah.
there
So
he is.
this-
All right.
There
there
he
he
is.
is.
all right, I'm back. I'm in my
He's like,
bedroom
let me back
now,
in, damn it.
just to say hi to Tom.
Hey, dude, do you want to go to the mall?
What's up?
Do you
Let's
want to
go.
go to the ball?
Come pick me up.
Do you want to hang out today, dude?
All right, man. If I start now, we
Take
can
your
probably get to the
helicopter.
mall on Monday.
This is like MySpace era. Like, hey,
I'll
do you want to
start
hang out
walking.
today?
Let's go to the mall.
This is totally
let's
fresh.
go get a Sabaros.
sometimes Sabaros
Dude.
hits. I'm not gonna lie.
I was
like,
trying to explain to me and Mike, the guy that sings in my band Vatican now, we were trying to explain to people why we love the mall so much, why like the mall has some sort of transcendent quality in our lives that basically burn down to just like, remember that nostalgic time in your life where you could just not care about anything, your mom could drop you off at like 1 p.m. You could just say, pick me up after the last movie, Mom. You could go to the mall, get kicked out 3 times, steal $150 worth of clothes you'll never fucking wear. And now I go to the mall. I will say what?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I will go to the mall by myself sometimes and literally just walk around the mall with headphones in. And it's like I treat it as like one of my therapy times where I'm like,
And
I'm just
steal
vibing solo at
$150
the
worth
mall.
of clothes.
And I will tell this story to anyone else, and everyone has the same reaction Joe does, where it's like they're laughing, like it's funny that Tom goes to the mall, but on the inside, I'm like, I feel like they're like, oh, it's pretty fucking depressing that Tom goes to the mall.
The malls around here are depressing. They're few and far between, and there's not very many good stores left in them. So yeah,
what-
but
Bro,
What's the mall?
I live in Savannah, Georgia, and the mall we have like 2 malls. One is just a very stock, stereotypical mall. The other one is like, a mall is bad when what used to be a Riches is now a community college. Like it's that vibe. You go and there's like 2 stores in the food court that are open. One has fried rice. One is a Subway that's open for 2 hours a day. There's a Bass Pro Shop where all the fountains are broken, and there's like a trade school, and that's the only shit in the mall.
where do you go to school? I go to school in the mall.
Dude,
Bass
straight
Pro
up.
Shop.
Straight up, you have to have parking passes and everything. You have to have a parking pass to go to the mall.
Wow. Yeah, need a parking
But I'm
pass to
just
go to the mall. Yeah,
hijacking
but
this.
yeah,
What is
so,
going
I mean,
on?
we used to go hang out at the mall all
I did
the time.
same.
So,
Mall,
but
mall,
tell us
go
more
ahead.
about you, Tom.
I used to play guitar in Forever Came Calling for a while.
Okay.
I played guitar
so-
in the band after I joined the band right when the second album came out.
Yeah, Tom did a lot of heavy lifting for the touring on What Matters Most. He's a space side stage space.
Yeah, me and John Swaba called it Space Side because we were both really that was when John had this one pedal where if he hit it, it sounded like any time anyone in like a Looney Tunes cartoon got fucked up and launched into space. It was just like this, and he like abused it really, really bad.
Like really bad. So space side.
But
Yeah,
Luke,
so that's
Luke
what-
is Tom. You're one of Luke's favorite people. Joe is on his bad side right now. So Yeah, so you're his favorite person now. But we'll see who else pops in because Joe apparently put out the link on Twitter.
Yeah, backstage link. What a legend. What a legend.
So I mean,
You put it
we
on
may be here
IG.
till like
I know.
maybe here
I
till
know.
like
It's on your
7 p.m.
IG story, dude. Got it.
So
I was like, I'm gonna
so-
watch this, and now I'm in it.
yeah, sorry everyone. I did not. Yep. This is
It's a community meetup for FCC today. Community meetup.
There we go.
Actually, you know what? Surprise! We are doing we're doing a competition to see who's going to play the drums, who's going to so whoever wants to audition, please step
hop
forward
on
now.
in.
So
It's a gauntlet.
I do love this motley crew though, and I think that it makes for a more. I'm having fun with my friends.
right.
You could definitely consider that the people in this chat right now could just be a bootleg version of the band.
Oh yeah.
Like a very hot, like if everyone in this room had to play a show with the band right now,
It would
could
sound good.
definitely happen.
Get it done.
It would totally work, but it would be very fucking strange.
It's a funny group of
probably-
people.
it would
This
sound
is a
good.
shoegaze.
Yeah, this is a shoegaze
There you
group.
go. There you go.
So
Shoot,
what are you
Very
going to play?
mellow vibes now.
What riffs are you going to play? You going to rock out for us there, Tom?
Oh yeah, I'm literally just holding this guitar because if I'm not holding something in my hands while I'm like talking on the phone, I'll have a fucking panic attack. Sure.
All right.
Dude.
So Tom.
But I don't know. If you listen really close, this is Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Now
My
get some
favorite
chug
TV
chug
show.
wee wee.
Some
All right,
chug
so-
chug
Wee wee, Tom.
We're gonna get Tom to play guitar. We're gonna get
Yeah.
no need to play air guitar or air drums. We're gonna get Joe to sing, and
There we
then
go.
Cody's gonna play another guitar, air guitar if you'd like, and we're gonna thrash out. So
We're gonna go big. Tom, you owe me a video, man. You owe me a
I
video.
know. I know. I do owe you a video. So I owe
I haven't
two
even
people
tried. I
guitar
haven't
videos.
bothered because I just thought you were gonna come through.
I can literally just show you right now. You just do
No, man,
this
this is not
over
gonna
and over
work.
again.
Okay.
You-
So it didn't
so
sound
I owe two
technically
people
challenging,
guitar
but I would
videos
just
right
never
now.
write that. I also think it's
It's
really
not.
fucked
Yeah.
up that
I would
you
never
guys
write it either.
included
Actually-
that in a song. I think that's just like. So first off, let me set the stage. Let's actually walk this. Let's peel this back a little bit, a wee bit.
All right,
So
we're-
Joe
let us know.
originally calls me, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to play guitar in the band?" I am, despite having played guitar for most of my life, very mediocre guitar player, but playing rhythm guitar, pop punk band, easy peasy, sign me up. There is some, moving pieces on the chessboard. Joe says it's all going to come together. I think this handsome young man, bottom right, at one point in time, was maybe a lock for running it back with us. So anyway, playing rhythm guitar for songs that I mostly know, easy peasy. Joe shuffles me over to lead guitar. Not terrible, but definitely not what I had planned on doing, nor what I had, sort of been quasi practicing for. Or I bought another guitar, presuming that I needed a thick 2 humbucker sound. Because I just spent 2 years buying Blues Dad single coil guitars. Anyway, so shuffles me over to lead after, some purchases have occurred, and then he's like, "Yo, by the way, Rather Be Dead Than Cool is a lock for the set." And this song, which is a good song, just includes this random fucking solo out of nowhere. And then he's like, "Yeah, you got to learn it. I don't know, hit up Tom or something." He says it like that, just real chill. Tom and I have met one another 3 or 4 times, but don't have phone numbers, aren't talking all the time. And Joe's like, I don't know, Tom probably he's stored in the vault, I guess. Just hit him up. Maybe he'll FaceTime you or something. I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Because we and Tom did an IG live, and something very similar to this happened. And then I think we talked a little bit about it. And Tom's also has Tom is an incredible guitar player. He's underplaying him right now.
Shredder.
He's a great, incredible guitar player, and also
Thank you.
did this not weird is the worst word, but a really cool detailed videos of the songs. So Tom also has those somewhere, but Tom is just very organized when it comes to guitar. So I was like, Tom will help out here. I probably should have made a better introduction, but
It's fine.
Yeah,
I just saw you guys talking on Twitter.
He tweeted at the band And then I
Yeah,
had to
Joe is
interject into the thread to be like, bro, I like need you to teach me to play this guitar part, otherwise I won't get learned. And he's like,
Joe
okay,
is all about
I
the
need it.
Emotional damage.
No,
that's what Joe is about. Emotional damage. So
you have that on a soundboard. That's fucked up. That dude that did the original emotional damage video is now blowing up on TikTok because he made a second page where he will do custom emotional damage videos for you.
oh nice.
Where you can it's basically like Cameo, but you can send him you can just respond to this, and he'll break up with your ex with you, or he'll break up with your girlfriend. He'll get back together with your ex with you, all this dumb shit. Funny story about you asking me for those videos is I was going through my phone one day, probably like 3 weeks ago, or like maybe a month ago. I was like, oh wow, all these videos from FCC when I was teaching Scott how to play some parts. I probably don't need these anymore and deleted them. But I can definitely make you new ones. At least hold on. At least you don't have to play this thing. Let me show you something.
Oh god, he's gonna bring out one of the customs.
So Joe and I were endorsed by this company called Dream Studios on the last record. I used this big custom 8-string.
Oh, 8
No, it's got 8. It's got 8. And at least you don't have to buy one of these.
I remember you guys because that Twitch recorded, or rather that the making of that EP was recorded on Twitch. That was one of our first hey, let's try and get some music content, it was a dope and ambitious plan, but also really intrusive into the recording experience, right?
Man, I was losing my
I remember you
fucking
guys
mind.
swerving this guy in the first 24 hours. You guys show up, I'm like, damn, man, that's not a Dream Studios guitar. That's a Fender. I see a Gibson getting played here. And I just remember the excuses getting sort of more and more extravagant, over the first 24, 48 hours of the record, the session in the studio about why none of these guitars are getting plugged in. Guys did what you had to do. Business is tough.
That was a very.
Well, I can't say. This is the guitar that ended up on that record.
Oh, is it?
Except for
We
maybe
had to-
1 or 2 parts.
We had to it ended up sounding the best. There was a lot going on, and we didn't think about that part when we did the streaming. But that was also really cool. That was, and like I said, Cody's been a big supporter of the band for years, and that was something that Cody brought to us and was like, hey, there's this idea out there that could be a thing, and walked us through, got us gear to be streaming. So we're officially the first. I think we're the first band to ever do a record on Twitch, which I think was kind of cool.
Yeah, I band of note. I'm sure it had been done. I was doing music stuff at Twitch because it was before Twitch has. Now we have this huge music team, right? It's a very big part of the business. We sort of saw the potential, and I had some experience with music. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny to look at FCC's channel and see the partner date when 2020 and the start of the pandemic was sort of the inflection point for all these big and notable bands. And it's sort of cool to see that iterative work with way less resources. But the fundamentals are actually not that different from the sort of content you see done now. It's just there is a team of 40 people at Twitch now sort of supporting that, as opposed to me and another person who liked music. But it was it was very dope. But yeah, it was just sort of it was so funny to, there's all these things that are sort of there's this implied confidentiality in the studio about the things you would sort of discuss freely when it wasn't anyone but the band and the producer, and then that disappears because it's being broadcast to human beings and then archived for human beings. So yeah, I remember, if I'm trying to remember what else there was the guitar thing, seeing you dance around that, and then I remember there some kerfuffle about the tones just not coming together in the way that you wanted, and what could have maybe been
There's
otherwise 5.
there's like 3 big things from the streaming that I remember. One is the guitar thing, because that was like a whole issue. And none of these are like a big deal in retrospect. It's just like stuff that happens when you like make an album or whatever. There was definitely like the talk about tones and like figuring that whole thing out. The big thing that I remember is this is mostly a me thing, is I went home for like a day and a half to play a show with Vatican after we finished pre-production. And I came back to the studio with food poisoning.
Oof.
And like the food poisoning was so bad that I legit had an existential crisis. I'm not like I am dying. I'm in this bed crying because I'm going to die kind of crisis. And I was I couldn't really participate in some of the drum. I mean, straight up. Felt like I was dying, and I couldn't really participate in some of the drum stuff. So in order to participate, I would sit in the Twitch chat while they were tracking drums and be like, hey, you should try flamming this part instead of doing this and that, or you should try like, hey, maybe he should try doing like a ghost note thing. Also, can anyone bring me some toilet paper? Like,
As I'm scattering and
like that
splattering.
the whole time.
Literally remember that. Hey, get some Gatorade. Is anybody getting Gatorade?
Yeah, can anyone give me some electrolytes? I don't know if you guys know this,
Right.
but I'm actually passing away right now.
I need some Pedialyte. I have nothing left in
Straight
the
up,
body.
I think I only had Pedialyte for probably like 5 days. And at one point I walked downstairs and sat in John Swaba's lap for like 5 seconds as a joke, and I legit think that set me back on healing for like an extra 2 days because I got up immediately after that and I felt like my organs had flipped upside down. It was awful. The Twitch thing is funny though, because I was talking about this with Cody. I don't know if you know him because I don't know how involved you are on that end anymore. But Tom from that band Stray from the Path, he and his drummer are like very active in Twitch now on their own channels. Like their drummer does this thing called the Downbeat, which is like a podcast and drum thing and all this stuff. And they've like very much made Twitch a whole. I would argue that it's probably 1/4 of their business now across the board for a full-time touring band. And I was like, it's just so interesting to see what you guys have been able to cultivate that into compared to when FCC did it, when it was very much like if you guys had not helped us figure it out, like if everyone at Twitch had not done it, and also if there hadn't been like another guy that was there that had also done a little bit of Twitch stuff before, would have had no idea, like had no idea what we were doing, had no idea how to figure everything out, let alone how to like set up an overlay, set up OBS, like the stuff that is just like square one for anyone to stream just seems so fucking daunting to me, and to see so many people have it down now kind of makes me laugh.
It is wild, like how quickly. I mean, that was 3.5 years ago. It's not like ancient history, right? We're not like sort of like, combing through old newspapers and shit to talk about this. This was like 3 years ago. But yeah, like the expectations have just changed now. Like musicians being on Twitch is like not a like, oh gosh, that's like what a unique thing to consider. It's like most musicians like should probably have thought about it, and if they're not doing it, like they sort of know why. And then it's like, we have a huge music team, but the expectation for even a lot of notable acts is like, you will just have to figure this out on your own because like it's worth being on Twitch, right? And that's like a palatable expectation for some folks now. But Twitch is it is kind of dope to sort of like have this other part of your business where like, being in a band, like you can maybe benefit from this sort of like community existing and the patronage you get from like your fans. I don't know, like we should probably start farming like Twitch primes and stuff on the tour, you know what I mean, at the merch table. Just sign in, bro. Give us a $4.99. It's truly bonkers, and that team is huge now. Like the guy who runs their partnerships team he was like the other person in that duo, like way back when. That was just like, I think this music thing is.
I think what's his name? I think I just talked to him recently.
Jimmy Wisenhunt.
Okay.
So
in passing we spoke.
Yeah, Jimmy's dope, and like we just grind out the music thing. There was a lot of people were nervous about putting resources into it because the rights landscape is like really complex, and like anytime you did succeed, like if you flew too close to the sun and like popped off too hard, you worried that like, you know, a major label would be like, what's this Twitch thing, man? Like, how come, you know, are they making money off of like things that I technically own? So you've had to like kill it, but then like be aware of like what was killing it too much. And now that team is huge. That team has like, it has a team of lawyers. It has its own partnerships team. Like its own finance org. It's nuts.
Yeah, Twitch is the way of the future. You know, it's a hell of a lot better than YouTube, and I'm slowly learning Twitch. Like you said, you got to figure it out and learn it. So eventually, I'll probably go Twitch 100%. But until then, you know, I'm kind of doing the YouTube and Twitch right now. But yeah, Twitch has so many more options, and like you said, with the, you know, if I have a band that comes on the show, they give me permission to use a 30-second intro clip. I have to, you know, I get a content claim flag on YouTube. Then I have to dispute it and, you know, say, hey, you know, the PR and this, you know, they sent me this that I could use. Blah, blah. It's just so much behind the scenes. And I know with Twitch, if you're an unsigned band, you can have them on, if I'm correct.
It is. So the sort of general rule of the road over here at Twitch is that we presume that the broadcaster has cleared everything that they need to. That's just sort of our running presumption. We're not sort of like proactively adjudicating whether you do or don't. And even just sort of like talking like an interview, who owns the rights to like a conversation, right? So that is our like running presumption. And then, you know, unless someone gets like DMCA'd or a rights holder reaches out, like we just presume that it's all on the up and up. It's like a obligation of the broadcasters. And, you know, whether you do or don't, like we just sort of have to presume that that's the case, lest we, you know, run the risk of like losing safe harbor. Because if we sort of make a judgment call, we sort of put on the record that we're capable of making judgment calls, which is like a sort of liability. Because you don't want like, you know, a gigantic label X to be like, well, you made a judgment call about this. Why didn't you know that this is my copyrighted work? So, you know, the best thing you can do is be like, hey, let me know if it's not on the up and up. So that is a super simplified version of that. And, you know, we've gotten better, I think, about like working with the heavy hitters and big players to sort of like make the rules of engagement less contentious, but not my neck of the woods anymore.
How does that work for like people doing covers? You know what I mean? Like, you know, YouTube, like people do drum covers. You have like Luke Holland and all those.
Yeah. So that's
like,
very complicated.
I've seen people on Twitch doing that.
Yeah. So like again, you know, if you're doing a cover of, you know, some top 40 song, I presume that like it's fine until like the label from that top 40 artist reaches out and says, hey, I don't do that. Right. And then, you know, you get banished to the shadow realm real fast. But until that happens, I just have to presume that it's chill. That's sort of how like DMCA works on the entire internet for platforms where like, you know, third parties like users upload stuff. Because like there's no way to really moderate that. So like you sort of just say, hey, if this is yours and you don't think that this is being used correctly, let us know. And then we have an obligation to take it down. There's like in that moment, there's no sort of like judgment call or like, oh, you know, you as an employee can't be like, oh, maybe this is fair use. Like it's just gone. And then you as the person who are broadcasting it has to fire back and say, you know, this should have been fine because of X, Y. We're just kind of, you know.
Well, I'll have to pick your brain off.
Do whatever you want.
And on that note, I have to leave. My lunch break is over.
My lunch break is over.
My lunch break is
all
over.
Right. Well, hey,
damn, sorry,
Cody, guess what? I got like 4 other people in the green room waiting right now.
Every
I don't know why.
And some fans are just like in the green room, just hanging out.
Welcome to the green room. Sorry, Joe tweeted the wrong link.
All right. Thank you for having me. And
it's a pleasure having you. And we'll talk soon. All right.
Tom, video, please. Like that part of the set will come up and there'll just be fucking silence. And, you know, like I'll just be like, yo, I'm not even
that I will make that video tonight, and then I'll hit you up and
I'll put us in a group text. and then that way you guys can
It's
text.
Yes.
live on air. Live on air. He's going to do it tonight, Cody. So we're
right,
going to hold
yeah.
him to it.
Farewell, everyone.
All right. So I have an Ali XXXX backstage. Anyone know? We'll bring him on. You know, we'll see who he is.
I think this is
Roll dice.
What is up?
Alex.
Oh fuck! How's it
This
going?
this is a
That was a
great
great intro, man. You were screaming.
My bad.
This
So this is a great tattoo artist from the high desert. This is Alex.
All right, Alex. I read it wrong. I said Ali XXX. My bad. But
I think you're waiting for something a little more sexy. My bad.
So
I think that's why it was
welcome
so
to the
funny.
show.
He says Ali XXX. I was like, oh, it's this girl, whatever. And then there's this burly screaming man that comes in. I was like,
everyone
that's
got
awesome.
excited for a minute. They're like, "Wait, what? Porn star?" And then Alex comes on with his long hair and his beard, and they're like, "Damn it!"
Who's to say he's not?
I must say, it
So
can still be a
Alex-
sexy
True,
item.
true.
Can you guys hear me all right?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because these headphones are kind of garbage.
Yeah, so we're just hanging out and yeah, shooting shit. So we're talking about FCC, the 10 years of Contender, and hey, we got another player in the game. Let's bring him in. Garen,
So-
what's up?
Aaron from
Wow, Darren.
what is going on, dude?
Hey, dude.
Not a lot. Just got home from work. How's it going?
How's it going? So Garen's one of he's been to like every FCC show in Dallas.
Since
Okay.
He's been a longtime supporter of the band since Hawthorne Heights, right?
at Trees, yeah. 2011.
Trees and 20. And I actually got kicked out of the show that night for drinking in the bathroom. So I got 86 from that bar. I was allowed to play my set and then told to get the fuck off the stage and not come back. And I have not been back
That's
since.
awesome.
It's a great venue. But
It is a
Well,
great
welcome
venue.
to the
That's
show, Garen.
awesome.
You are live on air with us. So
Awesome.
you know, a huge fan, obviously, of FCC. So how do you feel about Contender being 10 years now? 10-year anniversary of Contender. Makes
me
us feel old,
It just
right?
makes me
Okay.
feel here, man. So I had a kid 6 months ago. I turned 30 in January. It just makes me feel old. You know, I mean, 10 years. I know they hadn't been around in a while, but
Somebody's really bubbly. Alex, yep, that was you. All right, you muted it. All right, so all right, go ahead, Garen.
I
Sorry.
just going to the Forever Came Calling shows has been some of my favorite times over the years. You know, I've talked to my wife. She's never seen the guys, so I got married in 2 years ago, and so she's never seen the guys. But she's coming to So What with me next month, and she's excited. She knows that, you know, they kind of go along with me for me in my 20s. You know, like it's just like Contender was there. Another big band of mine is Yellow Card. They were there, and now they're broke up. So it's like, I don't know. It's just a part of growing up, I guess. You know, I don't know how to explain it. I know what I'm trying to say.
No, I feel that. I think everybody's got like something like that they're really like one or two bands that they're super, super attached to for like a specific time in their life, let alone like your early 20s or like your late teens and everything, which is, you know, such a super strange time. Because you were seeing the band around the time that probably right after I met the band.
Yeah.
Which might have been when you guys were touring with Hawthorne Heights. I don't know. We met before that.
we met before that, but it's that
Yeah.
whole era that was like changing of the guard almost. I feel like that was when FCC went from straight DIY to like
Yeah.
a club band. You know what I mean? And that was like
I remember seeing y'all in it was like an attic of a place, and it had a bunch of arcade games, and State Champs was there, and it was just like so cool, like so all those times, you know. And now y'all have, you know, contender that's been out for 10 years, and you know State Champs is playing So What. Also, it's just cool to have been like a tiny part of the story, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I think Joe and I used to talk about that. That was like the beginning of like a specific era of like the genre, or like the bands that we all liked, that like came up on like Run for Cover and everything were like not replaced is absolutely the wrong word, but like just a younger crop of bands was coming up behind them, and like obviously like Pure Noise is like the label that kind of really started picking all those bands up and trying to like give it a face. And it was fun to see like which of our friends were gonna like get in there and which of us were like not going to. That was always really interesting to see people argue about it a little bit, and then just to like have your friend like kind of grow up a little bit with your friends and everything. Because like Joe and I met at some shitty venue playing some shitty show and staying at some shitty house.
We met I know where we met, Swayze's, because you booked.
Oh yeah, we did meet at Swayze's.
Yeah, because you booked. I remember you booked the tour package there, didn't you?
I believe
There's
so.
Us and Handguns and Broadside Major League, I believe.
Yeah.
And Tom used to play a band called Latin for Truth, which is arguably one of the most underrated bands, possibly of like 100% of that time frame and that world. There's check it out. But you guys were ripping it up. We did Pine Box in Texas. I'm trying to think where.
Yeah,
where,
we played a bunch of random shows together, and then we toured with that band Rust Belt Lights. Us, you, and them, and we were all like, "Man, Rust Belt Lights, like, this is the band. This is the one that's gonna take us over." That fucking band. The singer Zach does stand-up comedy now.
Yeah, that was yeah, he does.
Yeah, and or go ahead.
No, but yeah. So I met Tom and Garen probably right around the same time, or the same chapter, I guess, rather. But yeah, and then what? So I'm trying to think. That was Trees, and then the Pure Noise. Yeah, you've been at all of them, bro. Like every one, and we're gonna see him at So What. We've already been talking about that. Like, so that's gonna be exciting. Garen's from Dallas, so
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Didn't have to travel far. Awesome.
How do you feel about So What, Garen? You've been
really, really excited. I'm kind of bummed out that the Ghost Inside got moved to Saturday because I have to work. But I mean, I'm really excited to see y'all. You know, it's been 4 years, and that's just such an awesome festival. I went the last time y'all played it, and it's just such an awesome festival. You know, there's any way you slice it, you know, there's something for you to see all day. And then, you know, if you're not from Texas, you get the taste of the brutal heat, and it just brings me back to like Warped Tour, kind of is what it's gonna feel like. Those early June days. I mean, I know it's like May, but I mean, I'm stoked about it. It's gonna be fun, and it's a super. I'm kind of interested because I've looked at the map that they put out of where the stages are going to be, and it's like the old Texas Rangers ballpark, which they've turned into a football stadium, and they've turned in now it's I don't know, like it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a pretty cool day.
So Garen and Tom, everyone's growing out their mustache, so grow your mustache out for So What. That's the new
I actually
trend.
can't because or when I grow a beard and a mustache, Joe can attest this. It gets to like right past my face, and then just gets really gross and scraggly. I did multiple times when I would grow out my beard on a FCC tour. People would just make a joke that I was some Amish fuck, and they were absolutely right. I definitely looked pretty fucking bad. So I will not be doing that.
No,
absolutely not.
Tom, you don't look bad. Here's my problem with Tom. My only actual problem with Tom. Tom is arguably one of the handsomest people I've ever met, and then he just doesn't care, and he'll just be like.
But so Joe, here's the thing: is that as of like realness time, I didn't care because I was hyper dipressed and undiagnosed and not on medication. So now I just take a couple of these and I know how to brush my hair.
Fucking hey, mental health, serious, bro.
But yeah, so but that's literally the reason I won't grow out the beard now. Is because now I'm like, I actually need to like look decent.
You look great, dude. You look great.
Well, I appreciate that. I turned 32 in like a week. And if I, as a 32-year-old, looked like how I did when we were touring together, I would absolutely. I have a friend, Bert, that's an ex-vet from Iraq. I would absolutely let him blow me to pieces. He has an M1 Grand straight out of World War II. I would let him put that in my eye sockets and pull the trigger.
Oh my God!
Zero issue if I was to continue to act like that.
Oh my God! Well, I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Positive change then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
totally doing dope. I'm fucking awesome.
You are dope.
Thank you.
So- Yeah, and that's what's nice now is mental health is in the forefront. So back years ago it used to be taboo, and most of us would never really talk about it. Now it's kind of in the forefront, mainstream, and it's not so taboo anymore. So there's plenty of options out there, for treatment and stuff like that. So myself, I deal with mental health issues, and yeah, so it's good to see the change in the aspect of mental health in America. So
Yeah, I think that it's needed. It's been. I think that for me, probably all of us here, really. Maybe not babyface Noah, baby.
Y'all are old, bro. That's not my fault. What the hell?
It's truly. But I think that we're all from that weird time frame where you heard about mental health, but when you brought it up in real life, people would be like
suck it up.
Yeah, and now it's kind of like it's cool to have these conversations because I think it's a lot easier to be kind to yourself when you understand that there's a lot going on in your own life. That your head is unorganized, but that's okay. You just got to check in with self and figure out how to organize it to the best of your ability. And I get help for that. It's awesome. Therapy's great. And it's something that I definitely wore as I go to therapy. I'm a weirdo, but now I'm I go to therapy because I want to be healthy. It's the same reason I go to the gym.
Yep, I do therapy twice a month. Crazy story. So I used to work with a gal that suffered from extreme anxiety. And, at that time, I've never dealt with anxiety or panic attacks or anything. So me, in the era we grew up, I'm like, this chick is just making shit up. Cause that's what we were taught, oh, suck it up, just work. And, about 3 years later, I became part of the Mile Low Club, not the Mile High Club. But so I had my first panic attack on an airplane, and I didn't know what the hell it was. I've never experienced something like that in my life. So I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack or a stroke, and I'm pretty young, healthy individual. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so they called for a doctor and nurse on board, and there was a nurse that came up, and my blood pressure was high, my heart rate was high. Obviously, I'm having a panic attack, which I didn't know existed until they landed the plane, took me to the hospital, and ran every test you could think of. And they come back, and the doctor says, "Well, it looks like a panic attack." And I'm like, "What the hell is a panic attack? How did it happen?" I have to know why, and they can't tell you why because there's so many. It could be a imbalance in in the brain, all kinds of different things. So I've suffered from anxiety since then. And now that I look back and I'm like, damn, now I know what she was going through. Because at that stage, I'm like, oh, she's making that up. And yeah, so it's crazy once you experience it. It's like, damn, this really does exist. So unfortunately, I didn't get my Mile High Club badge. I got my Mile Low Land the Plane badge. But yeah, kind of close. So I'll take it.
Damn. I've never heard of it pivoted that way. Also, when you said Mile Low Club, I was like, my mind went somewhere way, way, way shittier than that.
I thought you fucked in the plane before it took off. If I'm being honest, I thought that's.
I thought
that was
no, dude. I literally thought that you were in some sort of how some trains go underground. I was like, oh, he and his girlfriend had sex on a train underground, and then a lesson from mental health came from that. That's where I thought it was
right. I mean, that'd have been a better story, but
no, I can appreciate what you're saying.
The train.
I had not my experiences with panic attacks aren't exactly the same, but I definitely remember having a lot when I was younger, and in retrospect now I'm like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah,
that's why that was so fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's why I felt like I was losing my fucking mind because I kind of was for a second, I had my first panic attack, similar thing. I was it was right before I went to Europe for the first time. I was just stressed out about the flight. I hated flying. And then I'm sitting at lunch with my parents, and I felt like my chest was super tight, I couldn't breathe, and I was like, oh god. At this point I'm also because I got up to almost 500 pounds, so I'm edging there. So I'm like, oh, this is it. This is how Joe dies, straight up. This is it. Go to get checked out. emergency room, and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with you physically. You had an anxiety attack." And I'm like, "What is that? That's not real." The more research I did, the more I realized, like, oh, I'm having these regularly. Like,
Yeah.
and, getting on anti-anxiety medication, like, really, really, really allowed space in my brain to make a lot of other positive changes in my life.
Yeah, so I'm still in
Y'all,
the stage of
y'all know
I haven't flown.
Sopranos?
What'd you say, Noah?
It's like it just makes you think of the Sopranos because he's like old and he's like he doesn't know. He's like, "What the fuck's this shit?" And he's on machismo and shit.
Yeah.
That was me. Oh,
Okay,
oh,
but
beat
the
my heart attack's
generational
that.
difference, like the generational difference for real. Like my generation, I feel like is like, yeah, I fucking hate my life. I'm gonna jump off a building, and it's like I spilled my coffee. Fuck this shit. I'm gonna go get hit by a car. Like it's like more open, I think, and like people are like, I'm depressed as fuck, and maybe not even, maybe they are, but it's like a weird thing. I
Yeah.
feel like with you
Okay.
guys, it's like more quiet. It's like, oh no,
Yeah,
that
suffer
makes you
alone.
a bitch.
It definitely is. Like,
Be a
so
man.
when I was younger,
Toxic masculinity.
yeah, when I was in high
Yep.
school, maybe people used to always be like, "Tom, you're so inspirational. Like, you're like such a positive individual." And like, I look back when my Facebook memories come up, and I see statuses that I posted that just read like some shitty motive, like self-help book, and I'm like, oh, like you know how people are really open about like the negative shit in their life now. Anytime I was being overtly positive on the internet, it's because secretly I was losing my fucking mind over like probably over literally nothing that mattered, probably over like spilling coffee on my dick and going, well, this coffee's not even hot, but my life is ending right now. Like that kind of vibe. And so I see that shit now, and it's like the only, like, I always tell people, like, nothing embarrasses me. I'll tell you, like, any embarrassing story about my life to any person. I don't care. But those statuses are the one thing that embarrass me because they are so attention seeking and, like, so fucking fake. Because, like,
I had to delete
I was
my
like,
Facebook.
dude, that is a
For the
dope
same
move.
reason.
I want to do the same thing.
I'm
So
gonna
fuck
give you
this. I
guys
hated seeing the memories.
seeing your old statuses is just like the cringiest thing. You're just like 2010 Joe right now probably posted a status that said, "Who wants to drink wine and watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall?" And I'm like, you are lonely and will never get laid.
Dude, straight up.
Did it work?
Dude,
though?
the worst statuses that I see are the ones where I'm like, if I post this lyric, that girl will like it, and that will be like the move. And you'll see like 5 saves the day lyrics in a row, which is already like now a questionable thing to be posting anyway.
Yeah. Is it these brown eyes? I know blue eyes get boring, but like just like stuff like that.
Dude,
like
literally shit like that. Oh, it's so lame. It makes me want to cut my own dick off and feed it to a small dog. Like, oh my god, I hate it. And I live with a small dog, so that the inevitability is
That
right
works.
over there.
Pain Olympics, baby.
fucking A.
What y'all know about it?
That's awful. That sucks.
Garen's like, what is going on? Like, who?
Yeah,
this
Garen's
is-
like, what did I get myself into?
Garen,
I
you-
was just coming to watch the show. Now I'm in the show.
You never
Listen.
had any cringy internet moments, dude?
Oh yeah. So 2010, about the time that y'all are saying, is 2009. And I was a senior in high school, and our basketball was pretty good. We're ranked third in the state at one point during the season, and it's just like I look back and I'm like, game day confidence, baby confidence, and some like Young Jeezy lyric, and it's just like it's I don't know. It's insane. I'll be looking at the Facebook memories, and I'll just show my wife some. Sometimes I'm like, I was just dumb.
the beauty of
the ones
youth.
from like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like two totally different people. I'm like, what the hell was I posting?
Dude,
I'm like,
straight
I'm
up.
out mud running.
Yeah.
Dude, people would be like, are you like, so the conversation comes up sometimes like, do you ever think one of your statuses or like tweets will come back to bite you and like get you canceled? Like, oh, for like slurs? Absolutely not. Like that never happened. However, could you cancel me off of just purely being like the cringiest motherfucker on the planet?
Yeah.
And like if being cringe was like a cancelable offense, god damn, I would be buried 20,000 feet under the fucking ground right now, dude.
Yeah, the cringe would if that's I don't worry about like, oh, he used some weird language. It's like, no, I trust myself there, but I 100% was begging for any girl in the world to look at me for like, all of my 20s.
Absolutely. I don't know why I spent so. It's crazy that it used to be so hard to get a girl's attention. This is gonna sound totally lame, but me and my friend Mike were talking about this the other day. He's like, it's crazy. You used to have to do all these things with like all these games. You play all these stupid games like on the internet. They didn't matter. And now all you got to do, if you're just an adult, you just send them the bread emoji. Send the bread emoji in your
Now all you got to do is
Just
go on
DM 'em
Tinder
the
and swipe
bread.
right.
Just swipe right, send them the big eyes and a bread emoji, and then that's all it takes. And if they respond, you're
I'm
gold.
like, all right, I'm in
And
love.
if they don't
Let's go.
respond,
Let's go to
shut
dinner.
the fuck up. The other thing
They
about being
have bread,
cringe
bro.
that I think about is like, man, people don't understand that shutting the fuck up is invaluable. Shutting up is tax free. You can just do that, and everyone is better off for it.
Yeah,
90%
literally.
of the time, if you have a thought, punch yourself in the eyes. Just do that instead, and it's fine.
I
So
literally
many
will
problems can be solved.
I will
But
get
you're like-
into like a Facebook post, like I'll type out a paragraph like, yeah, oh my god, all these salient points, and I'm just like, yeah, and then I'm like, who fucking cares? And I just delete it and like
Dude,
just
facts.
don't post anything for months at a time.
Dude, straight up, people hit me up and they're like, if you are actively posting on social media, we assume something is wrong in your life, because when you're normal, you just shut the fuck up. And I'm like, yeah, man, having opinions is dope, but telling people your opinions normally very boring beta male behavior.
Very, very boring, smooth brain behavior.
Dude, straight up, man, nothing makes someone smoother than talking and thinking that people are listening. And the worst is band guys. Band guys are the worst because you're used to having a microphone. And when you have the microphone, you can say your little piece and that's fine. But your keyboard and your phone are not a microphone.
Yep, yeah.
Straight up. Well, boys, I got to get out of here. Scott Lee, my manager, is hitting me up freaking out about something that I'm sure does not matter. But he is old and I must placate him.
All right.
All right. It's a pleasure
Thanks
having
for
you on.
stopping by, Tom.
But
Dude,
good
We're
seeing
going to wrap
everybody.
up here shortly as
Good
well.
to see you, dude.
So good to have you on, Tom. And he is gone. So we're going to wrap it up here shortly. We're almost 2 hours in. Hell, we could go all night. But it's a pleasure having FCC on, celebrating 10 years of Contender. So where can we find information on the band or FCC or tour dates?
So we have all of our social medias at Hey It's FCC. Facebook Forever Came Calling. Our website is, I'm gonna make sure, otherdesertcity.com. Let me double check that real quick, and that has the hyperlink. I'm checking the website right now, making sure. Yep. So just otherdesertcity.com. Is there a chat I could post this in? Or I could probably not. I'm a clown. But yeah, that's our website.
I'll put it in the chat.
Otherdesertcity.com.
My spelling is horrible, so hopefully I spelled it correctly.
Perfect. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then as well, on the podcast, you can go to the sloppysyndicateteshow.com. Once the podcast is uploaded, all the links for the band will be in there. So you can click on the link on my website and it will take you to their link. Do you guys have any merch, CDs, anything for sale at the moment?
We have merch and stuff like that, but mainly just listen to the records, have a good time. I think, like I said, we were really blessed to be able to create art for the fact that we wanted to do it. And I think that like selling stuff, I'd rather, just have people enjoy it. If anything, like I said, Alex is a local tattoo artist that's coming up and doing a lot of really cool work. And what's your Instagram for your tattooing?
It is big.pop, P-A-P .tattoos.
Big period pop tattoos. Is that correct?
Yep, big.pap .tattoos.
Okay, awesome. You can find them there.
Yeah. We're from a small town in the desert, and I think there's a lot of really great artwork out here. And I'm glad that Contender came from this desert, and I think that I would really love for this era of the band celebrating Contender to be about celebrating local art. And Alex is a great local artist, and I'd rather you check his stuff out than buy a CD. from us.
No.
Fair enough.
I appreciate that, but Joe is a very inspirational person. I do appreciate everything he's helped me with personally. So I'm excited for you guys to start touring again. So it's gonna be sick.
Yep. So Joe, get down to Florida, or hook me
need
up
to.
with some So What tickets. I'm just playing.
No,
But
come
you can
out.
catch Sunday So What Music Festival in Texas. They'll be playing, as well as the tour coming up starting in September to a city near you. So make sure you check out one of the venues. I know some of the tickets are going extremely fast, so make sure
Yeah,
you get your tickets now.
we've I forgot to talk about that. Chain Reactions at I think it's doing super well. And we're 5 months out from that. And Philly sold 50% day one. And it's on track to. I think it's I don't know. Tickets are moving super fast. It's been kind of crazy to see. It's the first time that the band has it's cool to have that kind of welcome back. We're very thankful. It's unexpected. I think we were just doing this to celebrate and have a good time with our friends, and it's cool that people care still.
Yep. And I think this is going to kind of blow you guys up again. So, more opportunities on the horizon. So it's been an excellent having you on the show. Much appreciated. Any final thoughts from anybody? I'm like Jerry Springer. Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? You are not the father.
Right. So awesome.
Mainly just take care of each other. Like, give grace all the way around. I think the world needs a little bit more of that.
Until next time, folks, take care of each other. Right. That's what Jerry says, I think. But no, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Pleasure having you guys listening live and listening in the future on the podcast. And remember, folks, keep it sloppy, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us. Thank you so much.